glad I don't see too many people leaving. So if you have some questions for Xu or for Dr. Chen about his flute, or Mr. Chen about the drum, now is the time to ask. So,
thank you all for coming, and I'm so honored and grateful to have this opportunity to sing in front of the audience of Berkeley, a place renowned for its openness to various cultures and traditions. And I would also like to thank those who helped making this happen, including Carol Lee, Eleanor, Angel, and Professor Yu Tianxin, who couldn't come today, and of course every member of White Camellia Gathering, a Peng society chaired by Professor Lindy Lee Mark. And so thank you all very much. So why am I doing this? I take it as my responsibilities as a student of a tradition, to share with the world what I have learned. I began to learn this piece with my Putong opera teacher, Mr. Zhu Fu in Beijing about 15 years ago. I have applied his teaching to my own singing as faithfully as possible. So I have a script on which I wrote all the notes while having lessons with him. And so after my lesson, I repeatedly review my singing lessons over the past 15 years, lest that I forgot, even though you can Google, you can download his singing, Mr. Zhu Fu's singing from website. Now you have, everything is online. You would probably, if you compare my singing with his, you probably will find some differences. But I will assure you, I tried to freeze the moment of my learning 15 years ago. I did not listen to his recording anymore, because his singing, his recording would give you his singing of 2016 version. This is 2003 version. And so I have to say that I am honored to sing in the tradition of the Manchu court that Mr. Zhu Fu inherited from his master, Mr. Yangxi. And Mr. Yangxi was a disciple of Putong, style name master of the Red Bean Studio, or红豆馆主, the brother of the last emperor of China. I think I would like to say a little bit more about this lineage and its vocal style, if you're interested in hearing about this. I think this scene, per se, scene 38 of the play, a 17th century play, Palace of Lasting Life, has an intrinsic appeal to those who fall in social status, including the Manchu court, which was overthrown in the early 20th century. Because there is a piece, a central piece, that's mentioned again and again in the scene that I just sang, which is rainbow skirt, Ni Chang. This is an imaginary piece of composition, originally belonging to the palace, the Moon Palace. So this Lady Yang, the heroine of this play, she has a dream in which she was brought to the Moon Palace, and the fair lady in the Moon Palace just shows her the piece, and she's so pleased. She enjoyed it so much that she decides to craft her own piece after she wakes up, and she shows this to her lover, the emperor, and the emperor, of course, loves her more because of this. So there you already have this one step, stepping down from, transmitted from the celestial heaven down to the earth, right? The court. But then, after the Anlushan rebellion, what happens is that all the musicians who have learned this piece from Lady Yang in the court, now are street ballad singers. And so by that, they bring this celestial piece to the street level. And this scene is so appropriate, right? 想当日天上清歌, recalling our good old days, old good days. 想当日天上清歌, 今日衙门五板. Today, we're ballad singers in the street. And so, one anecdote I heard is that there were Manchu people with in the lineage of Qing court would gather together and sing this song, this scene in the 1970s. In the 1970s, after the Cultural Revolution, and audience members would cry. This scene would bring everybody to tears. And so that is the political background of this, and that is why I think deep reason why this scene has a Manchu tradition of singing here, and that's the tradition which I inherited. So what was my singing lesson like? In the singing lessons that Mr. Zhu Fu gave me, emulating his vocalization was a vital step towards developing my own voice. He would ask me to sing with him dozens of times on each solo piece, much like a calligraphy student mimicking the strokes of a master calligrapher. Between the repetitions, he would explain to me the rationale behind particular vocal ornamentations and highlight certain vocal feats. To give you an example, on your handout, in the second turn, the fifth line, if you read the Chinese, it's 那君王一见了就欢无那. So the fifth character, 见, meaning to see, has only one note printed in the music score, which is mi or gong in the gongche notation system, right? So 见, mi, right? But in actual rendition, this word should be the key to portraying the emperor's infatuation with Lady Yang's beauty at first sight.